Welcome back, guys. Those of you that are already subscribed to the channel, welcome back. Those of you that are new, thanks for watching. Today we are going to talk about the FRS behind me. We're going to do a series about the FRS and Tiffany's S2000 and walk you guys around and show you how the cars currently are in their current configuration, because they are getting new engines and whole new packages for next year, and thought you guys would enjoy seeing kind of the change between then and now. So I'm going to have Tiffany run the camera, and we're going to go around and show you guys the car.
Yeah. All right.
So this is our 2013 Scion FRS. That's how it started anyway. We bought this brand new in end of 2012, and it ran for about 6 months before we blew up the original engine and swapped out to another FA20. We did autocross and miscellaneous track days with the car. Had plenty of transmission failures, engine failures. It was a non-stop disaster. The car sat from 2014 until last year. We finally, with Gridlife GLTC coming around, we had a need for the car. The car was pretty much just sitting waiting for an opportunity to utilize the power to weight that these cars are really good at having. We had no interest in obviously in putting the FA20 back in, as we had nothing but problems originally. So we swapped it out for a F20C out of an S2000. Since Tiffany already has an S2000, it made sense to have two engines that were the same so we could carry spares, and tuning and everything would be very similar. So this engine has been, I don't want to lie to you and say it's been perfect. We blew up the original one, but that was our fault. At PFI speed, we were tuning the car, got pretty excited with the cam timing. We run Toyota VTEC killer cams, and we advanced the cam timing too far, trying to find a few extra horsepower, and the valves and the pistons collided.
Multiple videos out on YouTube about
Yeah, the valves, the pistons collided, and then we had like 24 hours to put a new engine in. There's a video on PFI Speed's channel. Brent did a great video of us scrambling to get that back together, which worked out flawlessly. So this was our backup engine that we put together. It ran the back half of the season. No issues whatsoever. Car's been super reliable. And we're just at the point now where we need more torque to compete. The majority of our competitors run K-Series engines or their BMW inline sixes, and we don't have the torque to compete. So new engine it is. Can't tell you guys what it is yet. That'll be next episode. So you'll have to subscribe so you can come back and watch.
Can you talk about the power to weight ratio in the class?
So the Gridlife GLTC class is a 12.5 to 1 weight to power ratio. So 12.5 pounds per horsepower, and there's no torque limit. So basically there are different assessment points for aero, for the size of the engine, and other determining factors that help determine your tire size, and a few other things. There's not a lot of rules, which is what makes the class super appealing. So currently the car ran last year at 2,625 pounds was my minimum weight. The car is ballast up to that. The car is quite a bit lighter than that. I think we were in the low 2,500s with me in it without ballast. And we were making right around, we were limited to 198 horsepower is what we ran. 198 horsepower at 2,625 pounds. And we didn't make a lot of torque. I think we made 140 torque. Very, very small torques. Not a good time with the torque.
So we made it with aero though. You want to talk about our aero?
Yeah, so we there's many different package options for GLTC. A lot of the people run an air dam up front, no splitter, which allows you to have 3% more horsepower, and then they run no wing in the back, or a small spoiler, which also gives you another additional 3% horsepower. And then as of last year's rules, if you were a front-wheel drive car, you got additional assessment points because you're front-wheel drive. They lost a little bit of that this year. You guys can thank Eric Cattell for that. He went so fast that now you guys get more penalties. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. So this year we were limited to a 225 Hoosier. This is a 225 40 18. Next year the rules allow us to run a 245 40 18, which is considerably wider than what these are. This is a 18 by 9.5 inch wheel, and we run that setup squared all the way around. Same size in the Hoosier Rain tire. So next year, going up a tire size, going to a new engine package that's going to make more torque and hopefully be as reliable. So a few things on the car. The splitter, obviously, we run birch plywood for the splitter. It is by far the most affordable and durable material you could possibly use. It's very rigid. You can stand on it, you can jump on it, has minimal flex, and really just does a fantastic job. We rubbed literally halfway through it at Pikes Peak International Raceway this year on the oval. Still ran the rest of the season flawless. Really, birch wood is one of the top things I'd recommend for a splitter. The aero, we originally ran some vents in the hood, like a typical car does, and trying to find every little advantage that we can. We developed the entire front radiator duct setup, which you can see here. This is completely sealed to the back side of the radiator, and then the entire front is sealed off all the way to the front side of the radiator. So basically, it reduces a ton of drag from the air going in the front grille and being stuck in the engine bay. All of it right out the hood, over the top of the car, right where you want it. And I can tell you, just from lap time wise, there was a considerable difference between this and the factory setup, especially on tracks like Road America, where we're going 130 miles an hour on the straightaway, which is pretty quick in a car that only makes 200 horsepower.
Which requires a cage, right?
Which what?
Requires a cage.
Yeah. All the cars are required to have a wheel-to-wheel asserted roll cage. Dean Palmer, our chassis expert, and pretty much knows everything about everything. He does all of our chassis, all of our cage work. He built this along with all the steering column setup. This is all done by Dean. Really could not be happier with the fitment of the cage. We run a pretty aggressive door bar setup. To me, it doesn't really make sense not to be as safe as possible. So, I could pretty much get hit in the door by a Mustang and, probably not die. So, the rest of the inside of the car, we run full manual brakes. We got rid of the ABS, got rid of the brake booster. We're running a dual master setup with a balance bar. This is all a custom pedal setup that Dean also did in the car that really gives you a good feel of the brake pedal and really makes it easy to modulate the brakes and consistently brake at the same brake marker and have confidence. That cannot be said for the Wilwoods. The Wilwood brake package on this has really left a lot to be desired. We are upgrading. I don't know what to yet. Hopefully somebody's got some better brake options that don't cost $20,000. We should talk.
Like that wing.
9 Lives Racing wing from good old Johnny, as most of you know. I bought just the airfoil from him. We made the uprights as well as I machined the brackets on the top of the wing. We welded them on. The rest of the wing we pretty much did ourselves. The wing used to go behind the uprights, and per Gridlife's rules, nothing can be more than 5 inches behind the back bumper. So we had to remake the uprights to go forward for the new wing. We also had to downsize from our original wing we used to have because there is a wing square inch area rule, 700 square inches. So this is 690, so right at the edge. In the back here, we run the factory fuel tank. It's a saddle tank, so I'm sure a lot of you know the saddle tanks are a complete disaster. They do a terrible job at getting fuel up to the engine reliably, especially when they start running low on fuel. So we run a pretty comprehensive fuel system in the back. This comes off.
Look at you.
So in the back of the car, we run the surge tank, which has a feed line that comes in from the factory. We run I think we have an AEM 370 E85 pump in the tank, pumps and fills the surge tank, and then a Bosch 044 that feeds primary pressure to the fuel rail. And then you have your 2 returns back to the surge tank. All of this basically stays pressurized all the time, allows us to run the fuel down to less than a gallon. Really been very consistent and had no problems with that whatsoever. So that is not something we're going to change. We're going to retain that setup for the new engine package. Let's see, walking around some more. We run KW Club Sport coilovers on both this car and on Tiffany's S2000. Zero complaints. They've been fantastic. At this point, we really haven't had the need to move up to a 3-way or even a 4-way coilover. I just don't think that, I think we have so many more things to get dialed in that adding more complexity in a shock right now is not going to benefit us. As far as spring rates, those of people at Gridlife, I'm sure we change spring rates probably 5 times a weekend because we can. With rain and everything else, changing spring rates really does make a big difference. And we have a pretty set spring rate that we run each track for varying conditions. Exhaust, this has been a huge growing pain this year. So we started off the season with side exhaust. We used oval tubing. I'm not going to blame Vibrant for the tubing problem. What we learned is oval tubing does not hold up well to high RPM. The resonance just kept cracking the tube. We had nonstop problems, cracking exhaust. I mean, it was the dumbest problems to have. So at this point, we've gone to a traditional round exhaust and still was able to keep it out the side by just running two smaller tubes to keep the ground clearance. Been super reliable and, kept with the obnoxiously loud cars that we're known to have. So we try to keep, the volume as high as possible. NCM coming up next year. Not sure what the solution to that is. This will definitely not pass. So a little bit more about the interior of the car. You can see we have lead. So we have lead blocks. We made a bunch of these blocks that we carry for both cars. They all have the same bolt patterns. They can all fit in the same spots. Both cars have nuts welded on the bottom of the car throughout the chassis. We have different places we put these depending on what weight we're going to run in the car, and depending on the balance of the car and how the car is feeling will depend on where we put the lead. They run a rewards weight system at Gridlife where if you win first place, you have to add 75 pounds to the car. Second place is 50, third place is 25. And then as long as you continue winning, you continue adding weight up to 150 pounds. So you can be carrying an additional 150 pounds of ballast. We have all the lead for that, and man, is it a lot of weight. And then you basically carry that for the weekend unless you start getting out of the podium and out of the top 4, then you're allowed to start pulling weight out. So actually a really great system. I've been very impressed at how well that has helped kind of even the field out. You don't get one guy just starting up front and running away with race after race after race. The reward weight really makes a difference. We run cool shirt systems. Those of you guys that have never seen these before, pretty simple little, for us, lifesaver. It's basically a cooler with a pump in it. You put ice water in it. You got a hose that runs and plugs into a shirt that you wear that has tubing sewn in it, and it runs ice water through your suit, or in the wintertime, maybe hot chocolate, it just depends. Works really good. Once you get used to using it, very hard to not have it. It really, the tail end of the race when you're getting exhausted, keeping your core temperature down makes a big difference. As far as power steering, so these cars have electric power steering factory. It runs on the rack itself. The power steering works pretty good. On a hot day with sticky tires, with a lot of load, you will get issues with the power steering pulling power or sometimes even shutting off just from getting overheated. So we didn't want to have issues with that, so we switched to a motorsports power system unit. This is from DCE. It is a full standalone system, and it has 7-way adjustable switch on the center console. Absolutely amazing. Zero problems. I'm able to really change how the car feels based on the conditions. I can switch it like in the rain, pull a lot of power steering out, so I get better feel on the road. Don't judge me on the disgusting wiring in here. We are doing whole mil-spec wiring harness and all new FuelTech FT600 ECUs this year. FuelTech jumped on board as one of our partners. Thank you, FuelTech. Very excited to work with you guys and see what you guys have to offer. Super excited. But we're going to do the whole mil-spec harness ourselves, and we're also going to run a AIM PDM32 power distribution module with their dash. So a lot of wiring going on. If you guys want to watch some wiring and watch people learn to do wiring from scratch,
super excited.
Stay tuned. It's going to be. Tiffany thinks it's going to be super fun.
Thank you.
I have my apprehension. We'll see. Other than that, inside the car, pretty basic. Nothing else really. Today we're going to be pulling the engine out.
Yeah.
We got
Say goodbye.
Bob, that is a big part of Pikes Peak International Raceway. he bought both the F-Series engines. One of these is going into his, I think is it Tojo? Yeah, Tojo 2.
I don't know if he's told anybody that yet.
Yeah, it's all posted. Yeah, it's public knowledge. He's building a really sweet rear-wheel drive EG Civic with an F-Series.
His builds are cool.
His builds are sweet. Go follow Bob. Man, he does good stuff. This is gonna be the engine that's gonna be going in his car, and you know,
Bob, here's your future engine.
Yep, it's been great to me, Bob. So hopefully it's gonna treat you just as well. So pretty much this is where we sit now. I wanted to give you guys a kind of a rough idea of how the car is. So come, you know, here in the next couple episodes, you guys can really see the difference between this setup and our new engine package. We're gonna show you guys Tiffany's S2000 here in about 30 seconds. We'll take you guys over and show you guys Tiff's car. Before I end off here, I guess I'll start this up. You guys can hear the big Lopey cams. It'll be the one last time that we get to hear them before we pull them out. Sad face. So we got all the switches are up here on the roof. Such a sweet sound. I don't know, hopefully we'll be able to find some cams for the new engine so we can retain the goodness of really terrible drivability. But man, is it so good at wide open throttle. So yeah, stay tuned guys. We're gonna have the next episode coming out. We'll be revealing the new engine package. I know people have been asking me. Adam Jubei thinks he guessed it. We don't know. You'll have to wait and see. So stay tuned. We'll go over and see Tiffany's car now. Thanks. How's it going, guys? We are over here at our garage, the smaller version of Dean's shop. We got Tiffany's S2000 over here. She's gonna walk you around today and show you guys some of the things that make her car unique and what she likes about it. So Tiffany, why don't you start off by telling us what it is? And I think everybody knows what you compete in, but for those that don't, you can remind them about that.
Gridlife's GLTC. It's a wheel-to-wheel class with a power-to-weight ratio, 12.5 to 1,
Yep.
I think is our ratio. All right. So then that means you can only have so much power and torque that, well, torque's technically unlimited. So this is my S2K. It's an AP1. I have the F20 engine in it, but I did do ITBs, and it's the TWMs. They are amazing. I was trying to get some mid-range with those, and I picked up a little bit of torque, and honestly, they just sound amazing, and they're sick.
Yeah, I don't think anything can take up the or make up for the sound of ITBs.
Yes, my favorite part of my car. And I also have a custom header from Origin Fab, which is another unique thing that I had made, which I loved. I was able to pick up some horsepower with that, right?
Yeah, Origin Fab actually made it for your setup. So it was made sized and lengthwise to work with the throttles.
Yeah, and then, so it was a little difficult to get the tune, but Brent from PFI did do the tune on my car, and that was, now it runs amazing, so I love that. As for that, suspension-wise, I run KW Club Sports, and springs, I change those regularly, so that's kind of, I really don't want to say what's I'm on.
Yeah, I think the springs change like five times a weekend.
Yeah.
So.
And wheels wise, I run a square setup, 18 by 9.5 all the way around. Yeah, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. So hard top, all carbon.
Oh yeah.
Only weighs 12 pounds, which is amazing. Knocked off a lot of weight when I put that thing on. Inside the car, just like Justin and his setup, I definitely have some lead in there for weight, and in my wheel that he's moving for me. I also have a cool shirt system like him. I'm not as big of a baby, I think, as Justin, so if I don't need to run it, I won't if I want to save some weight. I have my AEM dash. I'm running my Garmin Catalyst over there and my AEM Solo. So I have telemetry that I pull off of one of them, well, both of them. And we kind of overlap our data sometimes, and the Garmin Catalyst helps me out with, I don't know, times and lists.
Yeah, like we talked about in our Garmin Catalyst video, the Catalyst allows us to do a lot of looking at data in between sessions very quickly, where the AIM gives us a lot of really detailed data.
And my wiring is, please ignore that, just like Justin's car. It's kind of a mess, but I'll be cleaning that up. And my truck size battery, which I'll be changing. In the back, I have a carbon cognition wing, and my uprights are chassis mounted. So that keeps, I love that, makes it super secure. And exhaust is custom exhaust built by the Justin Kelly himself. And if it's built by Justin Kelly, that means it's the loudest freaking exhaust out there. So.
Yeah, we try to keep them loud, that way we don't get lost.
But with the ITBs, it really does. It sounds amazing. So no complaints there. What am I missing? So overall, that's, do run an oil cooler in the front, Nishimoto. Have the same air dam setup as Justin on his car. Splitter that I run as well, homemade, which this splitter has been through a lot of stuff. It got ran over once, and we did a nice little fix here. I mean, how many years have I had this thing?
I mean,
this thing has been
we had to biscuit it back together. back in the old NASA days, it got damaged, and it's been around for a minute.
I tend to hit things. Other than that, I think that's, I do have a fuel, stock fuel tank, but I do have a surge tank set up, and that helps with basically when I don't get fuel starved on super fast corners or long sweeping corners, which I was running into sometimes. And some of our custom little aero that we made to release some air in the high pressure areas.
Yeah, pretty amazing to see how well the aero works, especially for the 37 rain races that we had this season. I think we raced in the rain. You can see our rain tires over here, and they don't look that great. We raced in the rain this year, I think, more than we raced in the dry. So
yeah, we did. It was a rainy
it's cool
season.
seeing all that stuff actually getting put to use in the water.
Yeah, but overall, it's a great setup. This car is super quick for the amount of horsepower that I have. I think I'm like 190.
Yeah, you're 190 even. Yeah, because she's 100 pounds lighter than the FRS is. We both run ballast in the cars, but her car is just quite a bit lighter, and her as a person, she's quite a bit lighter. So we didn't want to put another 50, to 75 pounds of lead in the car. So we just turned the power down a little bit more.
Which we don't mind adding if we have to add lead. At least we like to distribute the weight where we want it.
Yes, yeah, yep. Same as my car. We have spots where the lead already goes. We kind of put where it needs to be depending on if it's a left-hand bias track or a right-hand bias track. So.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to start pulling Tiffany's engine, and both engines are sold and getting picked up next weekend, so I've got to get the engines out, and then we'll reveal to you guys the new engine package. I know a lot of people are trying to guess, maybe it's an LS.
I just want to add, I am still super sad about selling the ITBs. I am gonna.
Yeah, it is gonna be sad. The F Series has treated us good.
Yeah, it is a really reliable motor.
Yeah.
Engine.
No, it won't be an LS though. We don't even need a joke.
Yeah, we're
about
just gonna
that.
tell you.
Definitely not gonna be an
no
LS.
Yeah, too heavy. Yeah, so I'm excited.
So stay tuned in. We'll have the new video up shortly after this one, and we'll have a whole full build series on both cars. So stay tuned.
And please subscribe.